This week, Billy gives his review of that amazing first installment to the new DC Universe, Superman. That movie was so much fun. We also talk about the latest rumors and news for some of your favorite movies and shows. Welcome to the Infinite Taylorverse. Warning.
Red alert.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger!
That's the emergency alert.
This episode is full of spoilers for some of the latest and greatest nerdy movies and shows.
Spoilers.
Listener discretion is advised. What's up, guys? Billy here, and I wanted to quickly thank everyone that's been voting for my lovely wife and I in this really cool competition that we've been nominated for. So if you have been listening the past couple of weeks, my wife Emily and I have been nominated for this contest called America's Favorite Couple through Variety Magazine. And long story short, the winner gets $20,000 and an article written about them in the magazine. And somehow we were nominated for this, and we maintained first place, which got us through the top 20, and we're now in the top 15, still in first place. And this round of voting goes for the next week, and then each week it gets smaller and smaller. I think top 10, top 5, and then finally a wild card round, and then the final round. But all that to say is, man, thank you guys so much for those of you who have been voting for us. But we still need some votes, so anyone that's willing, if you could go to americasfavecouple.org/2025/the-tailors-15 and vote for us each day until this competition is over. That would be amazing. Again, I know it's super hard to convey a URL over audio, but that is americasfavecouple.org/2025/the-taylors-15. That would be amazing. Again, thank you guys so much. You're amazing. It would be so cool to win this, so your vote means the world to us. And now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Infinite Taylorverse podcast. I'm Billy Taylor.
And I'm Taylor Oxner.
And this week, we are back to talk about all kinds of fun stuff happening out there in the pop culture universe. But before we jump into that, Taylor, what have you been nerding out about this week, man?
This week, I've been nerding about two things. I watched my yearly watching of Justice League New Frontier.
Oh, nice.
Watched it for movie night this week. That was the movie that popped up. So
Sweet. That's the one
I
with the
need
art based off Darwin Cook, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
nice.
it's so good.
It is really good.
I watched that. And then also snack packs. You know snack packs?
Uh-huh.
The pudding.
Yeah.
They have a lemon flavor.
Ooh, that sounds
It's like
interesting.
newer. I had it and it was really good. And that's my nerding out.
Man, I love snack packs, and I won't even say I used to love them because I still love them.
Yeah, they're good. It's weird though that I think I actually might like the off-brand maybe more. I'm not sure though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Man.
But these like lemon ones they got, Lauren was like, "You like lemon stuff?" So she got them for me, and they wound up being like really good.
Oh, that's awesome. I like chocolatey and vanilla things, but I've always liked fruity things better, so now I gotta go try some lemon pudding.
Yeah, it's a little more sour than I thought it was gonna be, but I like it still.
Nice. Does it remind you of pie filling, kinda?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Like a lemon pie. I can kind of see that. It's a little bit yellower though.
Okay.
It's like a tennis ball.
Okay. Bright looking.
Yeah, it's very bright yellow.
All right. Well, now I gotta put that on the grocery list. Sounds good.
It is. It was a treat.
Well, let's see. This week, anyone listening knows exactly what I'm nerding out about. I am nerding out about the new Superman movie. Holy friggin' crap. I was a little bummed out because I knew I was going to be out of town visiting family in a small town in the middle of nowhere where there's no AMC or any big theater like that. But when I looked it up, there was a small little family-run theater with just a few screens, and they happened to be playing it. And I had to miss the 3 days early Amazon screening, so I avoided social media like the plague. But I was able to see it on the Thursday night before opening with my brother-in-law and my sons and my nephews. And oh my gosh, just in this tiny little small screen theater, enjoyed the crap out of it. I laughed, I cried, I cheered. And seeing all the little kids, like my sons and my nephews, and a ton of other little kids just jumping and raising their fists and shouting with glee made me feel like, oh my gosh, this is what this movie and this character is all about. And it made me so freaking happy. And on that note, so the movie's still really early and we haven't both had a chance to see it yet. So when I got out of the movie, I saw it again with my wife because I had to. After my second viewing, I sat down in my car and just made my response thoughts about it. I wanted to get those thoughts out there. And so I thought I would share that with all of you guys. So I'm going to throw that in right here. And here are my thoughts of the Superman movie.
Hey, you guys. It's Billy here, and I wanted to take a minute and give my reaction to the amazing new Superman movie. First of all, this is going to be super spoiler-filled, so if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to want to pause the show, stop it for a little while, and then come back to this one after you've seen the movie, because I don't want to ruin that for you. So I'm just throwing this out there up front. You guys know we do spoilers here, so this is just a warning, another warning for you. But, man, Superman has been my favorite character since I was maybe 3 years old, as far back as I can remember. My oldest toy that I still have is an old Superman toy. The most comic books I've ever read were Superman comics. I've read hundreds upon hundreds of issues of Superman comics. And I'm going to start by saying this new movie, I feel like James Gunn knocked it out of the park. It was the most comic book feeling thing that I feel like I've ever seen on the big screen. So that alone was awesome. But I just want to jump right in. I thought it was really cool how the movie opened, not with another rehashing of Krypton blowing up and the baby being sent to Earth and all that. It just had a little bit of text to give you some context, and you jump right into the story. Again, spoilers, the movie opened by saying, 3 centuries ago, humanity first encountered metahumans. 3 decades ago, a baby from Krypton arrived on Earth. 3 years ago, Superman revealed himself to the world. 3 weeks ago, the Baravia incident occurred. 3 hours ago, the Hammer of Baravia attack happened. And 3 minutes ago, Superman suffered his first defeat. That's basically what it said in a nutshell. And boom, you see a hurt Superman. This is all out of the trailer as well, but Superman whistles. Krypto comes to him in a funny little scene and then drags him back to the fortress, and we see his robots gather him up and put him in that concentrated beam of yellow sun and heals him back to 80-something%, and he goes back to fight. And at that point you can tell something's up because the engineer is watching him and all that stuff. But yeah, Superman flies back to Metropolis, gets in the fight with the Hammer of Baravia. You find out that something's going on. Lex Luthor's already scheming. And I have to say, Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor was freaking maniacal. He was such a bad guy. He did such a great job of that role. You hate him from moment one, because he's just so bad. Once you realize things are going on because of Lex, the Hammer of Baravia is being controlled by Lex. He's called away, and he goes into this portal, and he winds up where Lex and the rest of his group is. Takes off the outfit, and it's revealed to be Ultraman. And yeah, Lex is running this whole thing, basically. And after this, you kind of get introduced to Clark working at the Daily Planet. He's talking with Lois and Jimmy, and Lois is giving him a hard time about always having really good interviews with Superman. And the next thing you know, later, you see them at Lois's apartment, and he tells her that was really funny, you know, the way they had some back and forth with her, acting like it was weird that Clark has good interviews with Superman. And anyway, Lois says it is going to be kind of suspicious. If you keep getting all these exclusive interviews with Superman, people are going to wonder what's up. And he says there's no way they'd figure it out because of the glasses, of course, which, again, hilarious. And he lets Lois interview him as Superman, and they kind of get into it because he's really passionate about, you know, he wants to save people. It doesn't matter where he's from, where they're from. People were going to die. He had to stop it. It was the right thing to do. And they get in a big argument, a big fight, and he leaves. And It was just a very dramatic scene, setting up how passionate Lois is about her job, and also setting up how passionate Superman is at being Superman and saving people, because it's the right thing to do. Anyway, I'm not really going to break down the whole movie like those first couple of scenes there, but it is just so well done. I left this thing feeling, again, like I said, like I was watching a comic book come to life. It had some amazing cameos. These aren't really cameos, but Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner was perfect. He was exactly the jerk you needed him to be, and he did such a great job at that role. You could tell he had a great time. And Edie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific was such a highlight to this show. It was one of my favorite parts. The scene of him with Lois on the beach, fighting with the T-spheres and everything, was just so good. And the way that that whole scene was visually done, along with the music and the fights that happened, it was just such a very well put together scene. And that's just one example of how good this character was. Every scene he was in, I felt like he did a great job. We also had Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, and I thought she looked the part really well. I feel like the character was a little underutilized, but that's okay. I loved all the fight scenes with her and her hawk cry and everything. Those were great. Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho. That was really cool. Visually, he looked great. It was pretty maniacal using him to be Kryptonite in a world that seemingly no longer has any. And then, of course, his little baby Joey that Superman saves. That whole thing was great. And we see Frank Grillo come back as Rick Flag Sr., who was in Creature Commandos and Peacemaker and all that. There were some other cameos that were great. Speaking of Peacemaker, John Cena shows up on a talk show talking about Superman, which was hilarious. Didn't see that one coming, but it was great that he was in there. Oh, and then at the very, very end of the movie, of course, we see Millie Alcock show up as Supergirl, and you find out she's been off on a planet with a red sun so that she could party and get drunk and all these things, which is straight out of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the comic book. You find out that Clark has just been watching Krypto for her, which makes sense. At some point, we also see Sean Gunn as Maxwell Lord. We see him on the news at the end. We also see him in a portrait with the Justice Gang, and it's not quite the same as like an actor cameo, but when we were in the Hall of Justice, we see those paintings around the room covered in old Justice Society of America members all over the wall, and that was really cool too. Another really cool cameo that was in this movie was Will Reeve, the son of the quintessential Superman, Christopher Reeve. Well, he was in the movie as a news reporter, which was really cool because he's a journalist in real life, and he got to be in this movie. So it was just a really cool homage and nod to Christopher Reeve by seeing his son Will Reeve in this movie. And then there were a bunch of smaller cameos. James Gunn is just really good at casting his friends, and there were a bunch of people who were either Superman Fortress robots or they were Lex Luthor's Raptor fighters. But Palm Clementif, Michael Rooker, Alan Tudyk, Grace Chan, Michael Rosenbaum, Jennifer Holland, all of these people lent their voices to either, like I said, a Fortress robot or a Raptor fighter. It's just really cool that they were in there. It was really cool that Michael Rosenbaum voiced one of these characters as well, which was a nice little homage to one of my all-time favorite Superman projects, Smallville. Anyway, the movie goes on. It has so much heart, and even without really rehashing all the backstory of the Daily Planet, Clark getting his job, the backstory of Krypton blowing up and Superman coming to Earth, the backstory of Lois and Clark meeting and falling in love, it just kind of skips all that and jumps right in. And it didn't feel like all that stuff was necessary, so I'm glad they did that. I felt like the supporting cast was great. Jimmy was great. Perry was great. Ron Troop, Steve Lombard, Cat Grant was in the newsroom as well. All these characters were great. We even had, with Lex, Eve Tessmacher. He didn't call her Mrs. Tessmacher, but he called her Eve, so we know who she was. As well as a character that he called Otis at the end, and I thought that was really cool too. A nice little nod to those roles. A big part of this movie was the public backlash to Superman and him getting arrested and stuck in this pocket universe by Lex. And it was just funny to see how, you know, you got this hero, but one little social media leak, whatever, everyone turns on him so quickly, even though he's done all this good. Also, while he's in the pocket universe, you see all these funny things. A lot of it was pretty, I keep saying this word, maniacal, but some of it was just funny, like the programmed monkey bots putting all the hate and backlash push towards Superman out there on social media 24/7. That was a little close to home, the way things are these days. Also hilarious. And all the other things just showing how petty Lex Luthor is against Superman. And eventually, Superman gets out. All the scenes with Krypto at the beginning of the movie and in the Pocket Universe and at the end of the movie were so great. Krypto literally ate up every scene he was in. He kind of stole the show for me. He was funny. He was a very not tame, puppyish dog. It was great, but he was a good boy. After Superman gets out of the Pocket Universe, we kind of start to see the final things of this movie. Lex opens up his dimensional rift, and it's kind of starting to destroy the city, and this is not good, but at the same time, you have the two countries about to go to war, but Superman can't go stop it because he has to go to the rift and help Mr. Terrific. But then when he gets there, Ultraman is there as well. They have a big fight, and the Engineer and Ultraman gang up on Superman. He has to fly into outer space and crash back down to Earth to get all these nanobots from the Engineer off of him and out of his lungs, and when they crash, you can see that Ultraman's costume and mask get messed up, and he pulls the mask off, and it's revealed to be a clone of Superman, which at the scene earlier in the movie when Lex and his gang infiltrates the Fortress of Solitude, that was my first thought, oh, this Ultraman, this masked character, has got to be some kind of clone or something of Clark. That made the most sense to me, but anyway, he realizes it's a clone of himself. They fight. Krypto destroys all the little cameras, so Lex can't tell Ultraman what moves to use on Superman, and he finally, gets the best of him, and the rift is getting closer and closer and closer, and it's basically a giant black hole, and Superman hits Ultraman with what looks like a train car, and he flies into the rift. He gets up, flies away with Mr. Terrific. They get to Lex's headquarters. He has a nice little speech about the good in people and doing what's right, and he even says he just wishes Lex would see that about himself as well, and all this. It was very heartwarming. Mr. Terrific stops the rift because he's Mr. Terrific. He's a genius. He's amazing. And all throughout the movie, earlier in the movie when Superman's hurt and he's getting healed, there's this clip of his parents playing with the message sent with him on his ship, but the message was kind of destroyed in transit, and he only got the first half. And he literally, it says in the movie, based his whole life on this message that he's sent here to help humanity. And of course, when Lex breaks in, steals the footage, Engineer fixes it, and you find out that his biological parents in this version of the story wanted him to repopulate the Earth and take over the Earth and rule the Earth and all this. But anyway, his whole life, that video of his biological parents was used to soothe him when he was, getting repaired in the fortress. But at the very, very end of the movie, after everything was over, he's laying in the chair about to get zapped with some yellow sun, and the robot said, let's play the footage of his parents because it soothes him. And it was a video of the Kents, and yeah, that brought some tears to my eyes. It choked me up a little bit. And the Kents, I know there's been a lot of backlash about who they chose to play the Kents and the accents they chose to use. And I do have to say, that was kind of an odd choice to me. Not who they chose to play, but the fact that they made them sound very Southern. And I personally grew up in southeast Missouri, way down in the Boot Hill of Missouri, which people sound extremely Southern there. The Kents in this movie sounded like they were from the Boot Hill of Missouri, but I've spent more than half of my life living in Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City, and people in Kansas City don't really sound like that, but I don't know. Jonathan Kent, I guess you could say he sounded a little like he might be from the area, but Martha Kent definitely sounded like a Southerner from the Boot Hill of Missouri or even further south. But hey, maybe that's just where she grew up in this version and she lives in Smallville. Who knows? Who knows? And that's such a minor complaint about this movie. The movie overall, I give it at least a 9. I've already seen it twice, and I want to see it again. I've seen it with my sons and nephews, and I saw it with my wife, and now I'll probably go see it with my daughters before too long. All that to say, the movie was fantastic. I know I've already mentioned we saw Supergirl at the end, but I love seeing her, which kind of sets up that we're going to see her in her own movie pretty soon. The fact that she was off, partying on a planet with a red sun. Who knows? Maybe she was hanging out with Lobo because we're going to see him too, and he's a crazy character like that. But one final thing is there was a mid-credits scene and a post-credits scene. The mid-credits scene was just cute. It was Superman and Krypto sitting on the moon, and Superman was hugging the dog. And then the final post-credit scene was Clark and Mr. Terrific looking at the damaged Metropolis, and he's looking at the way the buildings didn't perfectly line back up, and Mr. Terrific looks at him like, what's wrong? He said, it just seems a little off, and it made Mr. Terrific kind of upset. Well, you want me to redo it, to reopen the rift and fix it again? Ugh. And he gets all mad and walks away, and Clark says, man, I can be such a jerk sometimes. Just showing his inherent goodness. And that was my favorite thing about this movie, I think, is they showed Superman as inherently good. And this is a character with godlike powers who could easily snap and rule the world. But his greatest strength isn't his super speed and super strength and flight and heat vision and all that. His greatest strength is his kind, compassionate, empathetic heart. He is a god raised by great, kind people, and in turn has become a great, kind hero. And again, that's a hill I will die on. Superman is such a great hero, and his greatest strength is his kindness and compassion and empathy. The movie was fantastic. There's a small, loud group of naysayers out there, but we won't even get into all the reasons why they're naysaying this movie. If you love comic books, if you love Superman, if you love good versus evil stories where good triumphs, this is the movie for you. This movie is such a great kickoff to a new comic book universe on the big screen and the small screen, and I am so excited to see where they go with it. I'm counting down the days until I get to see Superman again. He did a fantastic job. My whole life, Christopher Reeve was my quintessential Superman, but man, David Cornsweet is up there with him at this point. Same with Tyler Hoechlin. Man, these guys have done such a great job in their roles. And again, I'm just so excited to see David carry on the mantle and doing such a phenomenal job. So, if you get anything from my review here, make yourself go see Superman. And if you've already seen it, see it again. And yeah, you should hop over to our social media and tell us what you thought about Superman. Let us know your first reactions. What did you love about it? Did you have any little gripes kind of like I did with Martha Kent's accent? And again, that was such a small gripe. It's not a deal breaker at all. The movie was still practically a 10 for me. But yeah, tell us what you think. And having said all of that, let's go ahead and jump into things and jump over to this week's portion of the news. Okay, it was so good. And once Taylor has seen it too, I'm so excited to talk to him about it and hear his thoughts, and we'll share that stuff with you guys as well.
Because I'm sure our reactions will be different. They usually tend to are. So we will have it on an episode.
Oh, yeah. It's funny, I haven't seen a lot of negativity, and the only negativity I've seen come from a certain group of folks that I'm not even going to describe here. We all know what I'm talking about. The general consensus is that this is an extremely comic booky movie, and it just brings joy, and that's exactly my thoughts.
Right on.
Well, hey, let's go ahead and jump into some new news for the week. We know that, speaking of new movies, in about another week and a half or so, we're going to be getting Fantastic Four First Steps, and they just released the latest TV spot, and it kind of shows Reed Richards talking to the public about how Galactus gave him an ultimatum, and it was what was going to be what could stop him from devouring Earth or whatever, and the people are like, did you do it? And Reed says, it's a price I couldn't pay, and they're like, what was it? And it was like, my son. So Galactus is coming for Franklin, and the Richards said no. So that movie's gonna be so good, man.
Well, that means that Franklin, that means that Franklin is going to be as powerful as we think he should be.
Yes. And I read an article yesterday that there were some pre-screenings of this movie for critics and stuff, and the majority of people watching it are saying, a lot of them were like, Marvel's back. A lot of them said this is the best Marvel since Endgame. So I don't know. I hope that's accurate.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard that for the last few movies now though. Like is Marvel back already? Or are we I don't know. I am very, very excited for a Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of Fantastic Four, there was a little bit of sad news. If you think back to the early 2000s movies, did you see that the actor that played Doctor Doom, his name's Julian McMahon, he passed away last week.
Yeah, yeah, I did see that. Also famous for that show Nip Tuck.
Yep.
Yeah. Lauren and I watched through it. It's a wild ride. I don't recommend it.
Yeah. I never watched Nip Tuck, but my college roommate was obsessed with it, and I saw a few episodes here and there.
It'll give you the ick.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It sounds like he was secretly battling cancer, wasn't making a big deal to the public about it, and then
Yeah.
it just got the best of him. So rest in peace, man.
Would you secretly deal with cancer? Would you tell people?
I don't know. I personally, if I knew that was happening to me and my end was in sight, I feel like I'd want to experience everything I could and visit as many people that I love as I could and let them be in on it, so we could just wrap things up together, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd be the same.
But you never know without being in those shoes. Maybe he had good reasons and everything, and maybe he didn't want to
Well, yeah,
burden
you never
people.
know too. Like when it happens to you, maybe you're like, well, my mind changed too. You never know. It could be just
Yeah.
completely different.
Maybe it is a sense of not wanting to burden people with it.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, rest in peace, man. Let's see. Elsewhere with Marvel, I just read a thing. There's a whole lot of character rumors of things that are going to start showing up in things. The first one I read was that we're finally going to be introduced to the MCU's Norman Osborn in the next Spider-Man movie. It said nothing about
Uh,
casting or anything like that, just the character. But I thought that was kind of cool. I feel like it's about time
that
we see this guy.
yeah, I feel the same way.
And this time it's a little bit actor rumor driven, but there's some X-Men characters they've been rumoring, and I don't know how I feel about some of these, but one of them said there's a rumor that Elle Fanning might be in the mix to play Jean Grey, and Bella Ramsey, the girl from Last of Us, might be in the mix to play Kitty Pryde.
What?
That this is just what I read, man.
I don't. Okay. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess she can play like the bad younger girl thing.
Yeah.
I. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, definite maybe. We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah. I don't love her. So I don't know if I don't hate her like some people do though either.
Yeah,
Like I don't have that. I want her to be gone from acting. But like she just doesn't really impress me. And I feel like Kitty Pryde should be impressive.
yeah,
At least if they're gonna do the whole that version of the X-Men where she's like the entry point
yeah.
to the X-Men. Because I'm assuming that's how they're gonna do it, but who knows?
Yeah. The latest talks about the Nova project and the Strange Academy project. Some things were saying that these things might be on hold or whatever, but the latest talks are saying that they're definitely still happening. But the big debate right now is whether they want those things to be movies or shows. So Nova and Strange Academy are happening, but the delay is to figure out if they want it to be movies or shows.
Shows.
Oh yeah, I think those would be great shows, especially Strange Academy. There's so much that you could do in a series. There's so many characters to get into, and then of course Nova. It could be this big space saga, and of course you can make a movie out of that. But I feel like that would do well as installments in a series.
Yeah, it shows that it works better, I think.
Yeah. And then the latest thing with Marvel this week, the character America Chavez, who we have not seen since the latest Doctor Strange movie, is going to be returning during Phase 6 in a movie and a show. And it didn't say what, but those are happening. So we're going to be seeing that girl again. We're probably going to see her when they do their, I think they're calling it the New Champions or whatever, but basically their Young Avengers movie. That's probably where we'll see her next, is my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, over with DC, you kind of already heard my thoughts about Superman. Some of the aftermath of Superman, they've already put out there that just in the opening weekend, 3 days, they made $217 million globally, and they're projected to double that in the next week or two, which is awesome.
That's cool.
And based on all that, Superman 2, it sounds like is already in the works. And this Superman movie, based on all the stats and everything, it had the biggest opening for a solo Superman movie ever. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, people want to go to movies again.
Oh,
That's
I
for
know.
sure.
I'm happy about that.
I was worried for a while there.
Oh yeah, so much was set up to do all this in the comfort of your home. Why would people want to
Uh-huh.
leave? But I'm glad things are kind of going back to it. There are some spin-offs, it sounds like, in the works because of some of the reactions. It sounds like both Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen, those two characters from the movie, are being considered for their own HBO Max series spin-offs. And both of those characters were very well done. Mr. Terrific was amazing in that movie. One of my favorite scenes involves him. You heard on my review earlier. And Jimmy was just hilarious. And he was a huge heartthrob, which I thought was kind of funny. And both of those guys, I would watch both of those shows if they came to be. James Gunn also said that, of course, they're working towards a DCU Justice League movie, but he's not in a rush. It's going to be fleshed out before they get to that. And of course, I think that's a great idea. You don't try to put them all together before we know much about the characters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and like deciding which characters to use and whatnot.
Yeah. And he also said every single DCU movie is going to have its own tone, completely different from each other. You had the bright and hopeful Superman. Batman's going to be dark, of course. Wonder Woman's going to have its own elements, its own different feel. He's basically saying every single movie you watch will not feel like the last movie. And that's good because those characters, when you read those books, reading a Superman book and reading a Batman book is very different. The whole, like,
Yeah,
Superman is full of hope and optimism, and Batman is just dark. And he gets down to the justice, but gets dark and gritty.
yeah, for sure.
He also said that this new DCU is moving towards a massive event that's not what everyone thinks. So I wonder if he's getting at we're not necessarily going to be seeing some kind of a Justice League thing, but maybe, I don't know, the way DC does crisis events. I wonder if that's the kind of thing we're going to be leading towards.
Leading towards identity crisis.
Yeah, and if that happens, that is one of my favorite books. Obviously, it's a horrible event, but how well done the book is if they do
Yeah,
something
I
like that.
doubt.
There was a new Peacemaker TV spot that made everything seem like Peacemaker's in a different universe. And it kind of makes it seem like, if you remember, Peacemaker Season 1 came out before all this new DCU, but we're about to get Peacemaker Season 2. And the trailer showed Peacemaker confronting Peacemaker. And the big rumors right now are that Peacemaker is from the original DC universe, the Snyderverse, if you will.
Hmm.
What if he does find his way in the multiverse and swaps himself with the new DCU's Peacemaker so that we still get old Peacemaker, but in the new universe? I don't know, because in the trailer, he's confronting himself, a different Peacemaker. And
Interesting.
yeah, so James Gunn's saying that this is moving towards something big that no one's thinking about. What if that's some intro to some multiverse junk happening over in the new DCU?
Yeah, but if it's something no one's thinking about, do you think it's going to be multiversal stuff? Or is it going to be more like, I don't know, something somebody's not thinking about seems more not crisis event.
Yeah, that's true with DC. And I wonder if he said that for deep cut fans like us or the general population. Because the general population might be like, ooh, we're going to get a Justice League eventually. But people like us are like, oh man, maybe we'll get a Crisis or whatever. So I guess maybe it depends
Yeah,
on what target audience he was saying that quote to.
yeah, that's true.
The final thing with DC this week is that Tom Clementif, who played Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, they just confirmed that she's going to play Huntress in the new DCU, and I think that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
I love how James Gunn's always hiring his friends, man.
Yeah, he loves his friends.
Over with Star Wars, there's been all this talk about how Obi-Wan, the series, was kind of going to be a one and done. But right now, the big rumor is that season 2 of that series is actually in development. Yeah. If that's true, I am fine with that because I really liked that show.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I wonder what story they could tell with him in the shadows and Luke and Leia not being part of his life and him being a hermit. So
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see how they flesh that out. Well, elsewhere out there in the pop culture universe, we got a lot going on. This week they released a new trailer for the new King of the Hill reboot, a second trailer, and it looks hilarious. I can't wait to see that show.
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous. I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh, did you ever read a lot of Red Sonja?
Not a lot, but from time to time.
Well, we've talked in the past about how they're leading towards a movie of that. Well, they just released a trailer for it, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but if you want to go see the trailer for that, it's out there.
Dang.
Also, there's a remake of the movie The Running Man based on the Stephen King book, and they just released the first trailer for that, and it actually looks like a really fun movie.
Right on.
Did you ever watch the
Is it
original one?
a remake of the original Running Man, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah, they've completely remade it with gosh, the popular guy that's in all the movies lately. He was in Top Gun, he was in that Sydney Sweeney movie.
Glenn Powell.
They
That's
just
interesting. I like him.
Yeah,
That's
he's the main character. And I haven't seen The Running Man since I was too young to watch The Running Man, so I didn't really fully remember everything about it. But basically, if he can survive 24 hours without getting murdered, he wins all this money. And
yeah.
the trailer looked really good. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fun.
They just announced that the fifth and final season of The Boys has wrapped filming, so that's going to be here before we know it.
Yay.
Oh, I feel like every other week we keep getting updated Street Fighter news, and I feel like so many wrestlers are being associated with this. They just announced that WWE star Cody Rhodes is going to play Guile in the new Street Fighter movie.
Yep. And we'll have more wrestling news next week. We had a bunch of events happen. So yeah, next week tune in. We'll have all that wrap up from that
Oh, yeah.
last weekend.
And the final bit of news that I have this week is you've heard us talk about Power Rangers a lot. That was my jam when I was a kid. I love all those actors as an adult. But before Jason David Frank passed away, he filmed that Legend of the White Dragon, which was kind of his baby, his pet project. He wanted to do a thing that was very adult and, separate from the old stuff. And it was his own thing. And then unfortunately he passed away. And this thing's kind of been in limbo, and it just kind of feels like, what's going on? Is this really being worked on? Is this a money grab for people trying to use his name? Blah, blah, blah. Well, the Bat in the Sun people behind it just announced a couple of days ago on social media that it is finally finished. All the editing's finished, the sound, the picture. It's finally pieced together into a full movie, and they're taking it out there to figure out how they're going to market it, where's it going to go, video on demand, theaters, DVDs, like whatever. That's where they are right now. So I'm sure this will be one of those things, it'll have its niche following, it's not going to be Avengers Endgame or anything like that. But, Jason David Frank's in it, and I loved the guy. And I hope it's true that it's finished, and I'm hopeful and excited to see this thing if it's finished.
Yeah, there's some weird background stuff with this that we don't know all the details to as well. So
Yeah.
it's kind of going to be a weird thing, I think. But we'll let you guys know the deets once we get more on it.
Yep. But hey, that is all the news for this week. Like I said earlier, if you haven't seen Superman, go do it. You're going to go into it and leave feeling joyful. I did. It was so fun. And you're getting close to Fantastic Four. We got a lot of great stuff coming out. So find that stuff, watch it. It's going to be a blast. But as for us here at the Taylorverse, I've been Billy Taylor.
I'm Taylor Oxner.
And come back next week, guys. Same Taylor time, same Taylor channel.
Bye.
Bye.